You know, you're living through a revolution right now, and you might not even fully realize it. The historian Yuval Noah Harari has a pretty urgent warning about where we're all headed in this age of AI. So today, we're going to break down his key arguments and figure out what they really mean for all of us.
So Harari kicks things off with a real bombshell. But hold on, he's not talking about a nuclear war or some asteroid hurtling towards Earth. No, he's pointing to something way more fundamental. A complete transformation of what it even means to be human, driven by the very technology we're building.
All right, so to really get a grip on where we're going, we first have to understand the one unique thing that got us here in the first place, the one ability that made Homo sapiens the dominant species on the entire planet.
So what is it? I mean, it's not because we're individually stronger or faster. A chimpanzee is way stronger. A cheetah would leave us in the dust. Nope. It's something much, much more powerful that sets us apart from every other animal out there. It's our incredible ability to cooperate flexibly and in massive, massive numbers.
And this brings us right to Harari's main idea. He says we rule the world because we can invent and believe in fictions. These are shared stories, abstract ideas that only exist in our collective imagination. And these aren't just fairy tales, okay? These are the literal building blocks of our entire civilization.
Just think about it. The money in your wallet, the borders that make up a country, a company like Google or Ford, none of these things have any objective reality. A piece of paper isn't actually valuable, but because we all agree that it is, it governs our whole lives. That right there is the human superpower.
For thousands and thousands of years, this storytelling superpower of ours, it was completely unrivaled. But now, for the first time ever, it's facing a challenger. And it's unlike anything humanity has ever seen before.
And this slide just perfectly lays out the huge shift we're talking about. Look, previous inventions, like the printing press or the radio, they were basically just megaphones. They helped humans spread our stories further and faster. But AI is a totally different ballgame. It's the first tool in history that has agency of its own. It doesn't just spread ideas, it actually creates them. So you see, AI isn't just a better printing press. It's a new kind of mind, a non-human intelligence entering our civilization. It can write music, it can draft political speeches, and maybe one day, it could even create brand new fictions, new religions, all by itself, with no human input. It's an independent player on the world stage.
Now, Harari warns that our track record for handling these massive technological shifts, well, it isn't great. He'd give us a C- for the Industrial Revolution. Why? Because it led to all sorts of disasters, world wars, horrific ideologies, as we stumbled around trying to figure it all out. And his point is, this time around, we really can't afford to get another C-.
And this all leads to a really chilling question. What happens when this new, autonomous intelligence understands us better than we even understand ourselves?
Harari's point here is that our old belief in some kind of mystical free will is now a huge liability. You know, this idea that our choices come from some magical, unknowable soul, it actually makes us vulnerable because it stops us from looking at what really drives our decisions.
He argues that we are hackable animals. Our decisions are just the product of biology and culture. Genes, hormones, life experiences, all that stuff. And since that can all be measured and analyzed, we can be decoded and controlled. Just think what that means for democracy. How can you have a free election when an algorithm knows a voter's deepest fears and desires and can craft the perfect piece of propaganda just for them?
And let's be clear, this is not science fiction. It is already happening. Some of the biggest decisions in your life, who you love, the job you get, whether you can buy a house, are being outsourced to non-human intelligence. And a lot of the time, the bank teller can't even tell you why the algorithm said no.
Harari then asks this question that'll keep you up at night. As AI starts creating financial tools and operating at speeds we can't even comprehend, we could completely lose control of the system that runs our world. What happens when the president gets a phone call at 4 a.m. from an algorithm saying a meltdown is imminent, and there's no human who can explain why?
And again, this isn't some fear about the distant future. The 2008 financial crisis showed us exactly what happens when our own systems get too complex for us to manage. AI is about to turn that complexity up to 11.
So what happens when you mix all this crazy technological disruption with a total breakdown of social trust? Well, the consequences inevitably spill out onto the world stage.
You know, for a short while, we had a shared global story, a liberal world order, and it led to the most peaceful period in all of human history. But then that shared fiction, that story, started to crumble. And now, look around.
We are absolutely in a new era of wars, and military spending is going through the roof everywhere.
The warning is pretty clear. Without a shared story, without a common set of rules we can all play by, chaos and conflict are going to be the new normal. And when you add things like AI-powered autonomous weapons and sophisticated cyber warfare into that mix, the potential devastation is just unimaginable.
But, and this is a really big but, Harari's message is not about despair. He insists that this future is not set in stone. We are not just passengers on some runaway train.
And that's the key. While the challenges are absolutely huge, the power to decide what happens next is still in our hands. The world we live in today was built by human choices, and the world of tomorrow, that's going to be built by human choices too.
He actually offers some real actionable advice on both the big global scale and on a personal level. Globally, we have to start working together to rebuild some kind of shared story. And for ourselves, we have to reclaim our own minds from the algorithms. That means disconnecting, reflecting, and really focusing on what's important.
So what's the big takeaway here? The future is a story that hasn't been written yet. The technologies we build, the societies we create, the values we decide to live by, these are all choices. And that responsibility and that power lies with each and every one of us.